How's it going? Welcome back. Today, I have a very weird video for you. You read the thumbnail or title right. This is D2. Difficulty 2. Kind of weird. I wanted to upload something a little offbeat for April Fools. I was originally thinking like, you know, going all the way down to difficulty 1 or like playing some of Helldivers 1 and then using like a thumbnail from Helldivers 2 and then just like straight facing it, not talking about it at all. But I ended up changing that because I had a kind of interesting idea for something I'd heard about, and I'll go over the build in a little bit. I can't really imagine anyone's too pressed about seeing what exactly I took as a build for a difficulty 2 mission, but I still will talk about it in a little bit. But essentially, I had heard that in difficulty 2, you could, specifically for mindless masses, it would prevent basically everything from spawning except for voteless. Because, I mean, I know there's an overseer right there, but essentially the overseers were increasingly rare. They would spawn around POIs and stuff like that, or they would spawn around main objectives, shit like that, but they would rarely, if ever, spawn in patrols. Now anyways, I chose to raise the flag in the hopes that I could see an insane amount of zombies, because this is what I've heard. I heard that people were trying to super credit farm on difficulty 2, and they were just getting overwhelmed by an insane amount of voteless. And I was like, dude, I need to see this. I need to figure it out. I need to like see what's up with that, you know? And I was very curious because essentially the thinking here was that now here I see my first voteless, and there's like 4 of them. And I was like, dude, okay. 4 is not a lot, but you know, we'll see. But with the flag coming down, Flame Sentry will cover that way, and then I can cover the other way with my Maxigun, and we'll see how many voteless we get. Because I was excited. I wanted a lot of voteless. Now, I'm pretty sure there's only one side objective on difficulty 2, so I already know basically what all of my side objectives are, and I see all of the outposts I have to do, and we're working on this main objective. And now there was no voteless coming, and I was already feeling like, oh shit, dude, this is not going to be it. I'm going to have to waste this footage and find something else, because there's not a lot of zombies. I'd heard tales of people like turning down the difficulty on mindless masses and just getting so many enemies. So I was like, okay, we'll see, you know. And thus far, I was really worried. I was very nervous. I was like, man, this is just waste of time. I'm just like playing a D2 mission, and I fell for the bait or something along those lines, you know, because I wasn't a believer at this point. But you know, I mean, my Flame Sentry is killing a couple of voteless, but like not a whole lot after that pack, you know. And anyways, basically my thought process was we are going to speedrun the main objectives. Because if you don't know, this game works off of like it has a set amount of time for when patrols spawn, and your difficulty affects that. And because this is on difficulty 2, it has kind of a long time between patrol spawns. But there's other things you can do that affect that. And one of those things is the fact that the entire map basically works as a heat map. Now here I see like a fair amount of voteless, but this isn't a crazy amount. But there's a heat map for the map, like that kind of lays over the top of the map. And so where you see red on the map, all of the outposts have a small modifier to increase patrol spawns if you're in those areas. Where you also don't see it, or well, I mean, it does show on this one, but around main objectives and certain side objectives, there's also increased spawn. But here, I'm kind of like, holy shit, there's actually a lot of fucking voteless, because I just drove through a horde, turned the corner, and there's another horde. Now, I brought the minigun. Do I think the minigun is the absolute best thing for this? Maybe, maybe not. I didn't really put too much thought into it. I just thought, what do I want to kill a lot of zombies with? And the Maxigun was pretty high up on that list. But basically, the heat map works around outposts, around main objectives, certain side objectives, and then also around extract, which kind of counts as a main objective. Now, I wanted to basically get everything done pretty quick because I wanted to get to a point where I had the highest the highest modifier for incoming patrols, because I didn't realize that there was no watchers in this in this difficulty. I for some reason thought watches were still going to be a thing. So I'll talk more about that later, but I wasn't aware. So anyways, I wanted to get as many, like, dude, this was actually pretty sick. This is a lot of voteless. I don't know. I think this is very cool. I'll talk way more about this later on, because obviously this video probably lasts quite a while. Now I really didn't want to shoot that guy there because I set my car on fire in accident. But yeah, so it works on heat maps, and you can increase the patrol modifier by going where they are, or the other way you can do it is if you close. First of all, if you do all main objectives, you get a flat increase to patrols basically everywhere. And then if you do all of the main objective and all of the outposts are 2 separate increases to the patrol modifier by a lot. Like it's quite a certain amount, which is why it's like it's pretty bad to do both main objective and all of the outposts and leaving like side objectives open, because then the game gets kind of really hard in terms of how many enemies it's spawning. Now, the thing with this is that we kind of wanted to do that. I wanted this cognitive disruptor gone because I was screwing up my inputs for a while. But anyways, like at this point I was still like, okay, I mean, this is a lot of zombies, I feel like if you're on D2 you probably wouldn't be expecting this much. But I wasn't fully sold on this yet, you know? I was like, yeah, it's a fair amount of zombies, it's not bad. But this trying to do this main objective was actually like kind of where things were kind of like, okay, that's a lot of zombies, because they just kept spawning. Now, I have nothing really in my build to destroy these towers very effectively, and that's kind of a problem for me. But you'll see my creative decision making, trying to figure out a way through. Yeah. Anyways, let's talk about the build a little bit now. Now that you get the general gist of the idea, our idea is basically speed run the mission, speed run the outposts, get everything done to get the highest possible patrol spawning modifier, and we can see if it's actually like a zombie apocalypse or not. And so, well, you can see even on difficulty 2, with just the amount of voteless, I'm getting like pushed away from the objective. But also, let's talk about the build. I brought the Sickle. I figured energy weapons would be pretty good. If I could combo an energy weapon at primary and an energy weapon secondary, I would be kind of chilling. I'm not the biggest fan of the Dagger, which is the secondary. It was okay. I did quite like the Sickle. I think like with fire resist armor, the double-edged Sickle would kind of go crazy. I think the Maxigun, obviously, kind of already talked about it. It's I mean, it's a lot of fun to shoot. It obviously tears through voteless crowds. That's like one of the few things it's very good at. But a lot of times you don't really bring a support weapon for the voteless alone. Like, normally that would be kind of stupid to do, just because there's so many other threats in like difficulty 10. But I thought it was pretty sick. And I was like, you know what? It's a cool weapon. I don't really get to use it often. I'm gonna use it here. We were running out of ammo on it though, so I did switch back to the double-edged Sickle to finish this up. But like, they just keep coming around this corner. I'm like, dude, how many fucking voteless do we have? And now they're coming up behind me too. Incendiary grenades, big fan of them. They were like in my best illuminate loadout video. Like, there's so many voteless, and I'm just getting like absolutely mauled trying to hop in the car. At this point I was a little sold. I was like, you know what? This is kind of like a zombie apocalypse. Now, I did think this was probably the best way into the main objective here, because there's no Tesla towers blocking my way, and I was kind of struggling with Tesla towers. I wasn't sure if the incendiary grenades would kill them. They actually do. I don't figure that out for a while though, so in the meantime you're going to see my creative decision making, try and figure out a way around them. Now, yeah, so that covers sport weapon, covers primary, secondary, grenades. All right. The car's a little strange, but I told you the gist of it was we want to speed run the main objective and everything, and being in the car means there's less time walking around. Now, I think I took the Flame Sentry. I took the Flame Sentry because I wanted things to call in. So I assumed there was going to be watchers in this on this map, and there wasn't, which is unfortunate. There, if you pull out the minigun and try and fire too fast, it does not fire because it doesn't like connect to the backpack at first. And here I was having a really a bitch of a time kind of setting up, and I was like, I need to reload the Sickle so that I can actually start killing things again. I quite like the pinpoint accuracy of the Sickle. It made headshots very easy. But like, I was honestly feeling it. I was like, dude, actually, there's a fuck ton of voteless around here. I'm getting just absolutely swarmed trying to just do the main objective in a D2. I was actually surprised. I was genuinely like looking around like maybe I should go do something else right now because there's a lot of voteless here. And like you can see, there is just tons crawling up from this objective. But anyways, back to the build. The car was less time running around between objectives, more time killing enemies, which was always going to be good. Like these kill streaks are crazy for something on difficulty 2. Like having 30 kills like every other minute is wild. I cannot see a single thing when this thing's going off, by the way. But it feels cool to shoot. I shot my car a little bit there. That's why I changed back to the Sickle, because I was like, I want to be a little more careful there. And the moment I finish one horde behind me, there's another horde just coming up behind me. It's wild. It's actually a lot of zombies. But I also brought the Flame Sentry because I thought there would be watchers. And I wanted sentries that were specifically bad at killing watchers. So like Gatling and Machine Gun were out. So Flame Sentry was pretty good because it's very limited range. So even if it locks onto the watcher, as long as the watcher doesn't fly directly in it, I would still be able to kill it. Or not kill it. I would still be able to leave it alive and move elsewhere so that it will lock onto me and call in. Of course, there were no watchers, so you could definitely get away with a different sentry, but kind of is what it is. I know I say that a lot. My bad. Yeah. I also took Eagle Napalm Strike. Now, I was kind of really trying to think hard about what I needed to bring, because I don't want to bring any sentries, because Flame Sentry is like basically the only one I could really like think was very good in terms of like I can bring it and it will deal enough damage to not kill watchers. I mean, obviously, knowing this, I would probably just bring more sentries, but whatever. Originally, I also didn't want to bring any minefields because I wanted to not interfere with the spawn cap. I wanted to give this mission the best chance it had to spawn as many zombies as it could. And if you bring mines, you start taking up part of the game's entity cap, which will affect spawn rates. I learned this after my my cremator video in the city where I kill farmed for like 10 minutes at the end of it because I realized I brought mines for that one, and then I was looking into how to get more kills after that point, and I think it was negatively affecting how many enemies were spawning from breaches. But whatever. That's kind of how my build came about. I don't think I really used the Eagle Napalm very much, at least for this first part. There gets to a point where I start using everything pretty efficiently. Because if you haven't noticed, based on the amount of kills I get, I do end up kill farming quite a bit at some point. But anyways, we are finally done with main objective. I still want to clear all the red just because that's kind of what I have been doing, just because. But yeah, there's zombies everywhere, and I was a big fan of this. I thought it was pretty sick. It was very interesting to me. I don't know. I'll talk more about it later because I'm gonna have a lot of time where I don't have to talk about like any decision making pretty much, because it's literally just gonna be kill farming. But like, there's a ton of zombies, and I thought it was like actually very sick. I thought it was very fun. I thought this would be very cool with more zombies. Like, I did not expect to have as much fun as I did like doing this mission, because I really thought people might have been overhyping it, and it was just going to be like I was gonna be like, man, I like fell for the bait, and you know, whatever. And then it would be like a kind of funny April Fool's video, because it's just gonna be me like walking around an empty map, killing like a couple voteless every once in a while. But I was pleasantly surprised because there was a fair amount of voteless. They were everywhere. It really felt like I had like switched games and I was playing like a zombie game now. Everywhere I went, there was voteless. Which I'm not that bad at all. Like that was like the whole appeal. That was why I wanted to try this out in the first place. Also, what would you guys expected to see for like an April Fool's video? I didn't really want to just upload like what I normally did. I wanted to like, you know, kind of do something to play into it. I was thinking maybe like take like a really bad build and then just like straight face it the entire time and like say it's good. But then I was like, that doesn't really make sense because there's like newer people who watch me and I wouldn't want to like mislead them purposely. But I really wasn't sure. I don't know. I mentioned a couple of my ideas in the intro, but I don't know. I obviously don't have to worry about this for another year, and we'll see if I'm still around. Or sorry, that sounds bad. We'll see if I'm still like posting this kind of stuff in a year. I hope to be around in a year. I don't think anything bad's gonna happen to me, but yeah. But like there's hordes everywhere, which is awesome. It's very cool. Yeah. So basically, we're just kind of working our way through this. We want to get all the outposts done, and then we want to go sit out extract because that will give us the highest possible patrol modifier. So they will spawn all the time pretty much. Now, I really wanted this, but I was pretty certain that was going to zap me if I got too close, which is kind of unfortunate because I think I just gave up on it because I didn't want to die. But we have 2 more outposts left, and then we go sit at extract. And this has taken me quite a while. I mean, my build's not great. My build is like literally just set up to kill zombies. But obviously, this has taken me 17 minutes or 18 minutes, or no, sorry, 16 minutes just to get this far. And for a D2, that's like that's impressively long. It was kind of delaying me quite a bit. Now you can see I was looking for ways out of the city, and I passed one, which is not a real way out of the city. You can't really fit the car out there, but this one you can. So I take this as my first exit, and then we start rolling up to these outposts. Now I wanted to get these outposts done pretty much as fast as possible, and then we want to go sit at extract because extract, as I said, has the highest modifier, but we want everything else done to increase our flat modifier the most, and then go from there. I didn't realize that eyeball guy spawned on these on this difficulty. This was very unfortunate for me. Because I didn't really bring like great stuff to deal with a lot of this. I did quite like the Sickle, but I still think like Eruptor is just really, really good. Or maybe you do like Sickle plus autocannon, but then you can't bring the Maxigun, and that was like kind of the appeal with like getting to kill everything. I'm not sure. I don't know how I would do this. Maybe I would just do like autocannon and Maxigun, and then just use the autocannon for the first part, and then the Maxigun later when I'm kill farming, because it was kind of a pain dealing with some of these outposts, not having what felt like enough stuff to like really get through them. Or maybe just just grenade pistol. What am I talking about? Yeah, grenade pistol would have been pretty sick, to be honest with you. This was pretty bad. I was really worried this was gonna like destroy my car. I have no clue why they were dealing so little damage compared to like harvesters. Do they actually have like different beams? That seems strange to me. I'm surprised Arrowhead would actually give them different beams and not just have their like stats share. Like you can see, I'm getting like 25 kills, almost 30 kills off of like a single red stratagem. Dude, that's an insane amount. This is really like every time I was hopping into the car and there's like zombies like knocking at the door, I was like, dude, this feels like I'm playing a different game. This feels like I'm playing like zombies in like a game mode in another game. Like it's pretty sick. But yeah, very cool. I'll talk a little bit more about stuff. Well, I'll talk a little bit more about spawning mechanics and this sub-faction and stuff. Now, I really like people kind of hype up mindless masses on like D10. I really think it just feels like normal squids. You just don't have like stingrays or certain overseers. I assume they're going to add more units in eventually that make it feel more distinct. But to me, it just feels like normal squids with maybe a lot more harvesters. For some reason, there's so many harvesters on D10 mindless masses, which I don't really understand why. Like, that kind of goes against the whole mindless masses point. I would love, dude, I don't know, I think Arrowhead has to, like, stop being afraid of making, like, a sub-faction easier than the normal faction and just kind of, like, just go with it and just have a ton of voteless. But, again, there are engine limitations. And what people mean when they say there's engine limitations is that every time there's an enemy, like, spawned on the map, they spawn about 75 meters away from you, because that is your safe box. Sometimes that doesn't happen, but typically if that doesn't happen, there's a glitch. But, like, dude, I see, like, I literally clear one horde, and there's just another horde waiting behind them, which is pretty cool. I was a big fan of how many zombies there were. Energy weapons felt pretty good. I like the Sickle just because of how easy it made headshots. There's no, like, there's no fall off. There's pinpoint accuracy. There's no recoil. It was just easy headshots. Now I threw that grenade because I know I was getting another one back because I wanted to resupply twice. But yeah. Anyways, this is very cool. I completely lost my train of thought. We have one outpost left, and then we're gonna go. Oh yeah. So there's a safe distance spawn box around, like, which you can spawn. I would love for them to, like, rework spawning just for mindless masses. And what I mean by that is, like, I think that the normal spawning for the normal spawn system they have for enemies is fine for everything but mindless masses. I think mindless masses, they should specifically change it for. Now here I'm parking my car in this very specific spot where the eyeball cannot see it, because otherwise he will destroy it. And then I was not sure how I was going to get that that warp ship over there. I threw Eagle Napalm in the hopes that that would have enough explosive damage to destroy the Tesla Tower, because I kind of need to get there. And I'm kind of waiting, and it is not quite ready for me to head to yet. I throw a flame sentry over there because I do see the encroaching horde. Now I did kind of try and destroy the eyeball. I was really, like, I don't know. I know first person is better, but I don't think I was even hitting it because you feel the recoil less in first person. But I was like, okay, whatever. At this point, we'll go around. We don't need to go near that Tesla Tower anyways. We'll figure something else out. And then I walk around to do this one. And I think there's another Tesla Tower on the other side preventing me from getting the other one, which is surprising. Dude, there's so many Tesla Towers here. I'm, like, actually very surprised. This felt like, I feel like there's not that many on D10. Am I going crazy? But whatever. There's another Tesla Tower blocking this side too. So I'm like, okay, I can't actually, like, get to this. And I shoot my weapons a little bit just to see if anything gets, like, a hit mark or anything. Nothing. So I'm like, okay, I need to figure out a way to destroy this Tesla Tower. And I try a grenade. And it works. And I felt very stupid there because I was like, dude, the grenade would have worked this entire time. All the shenanigans I did to avoid getting hit by the Tesla Tower, and I could have just been chilling. But anyways, I checked my map. There's no encroaching horde. So basically, I think there's no encroaching horde because I am very close to the edge of the map. So there's no real place for them to spawn because I'm between the last outpost and the edge of the map. Because essentially, when all of the outposts are gone, they spawn closest to the nearest edge of the map. So me being this close to the edge of the map and standing on top of the outpost was blocking their entire spawn box. Because you can see I'm, like, right on the edge of the map. But I took this into account when I went to extract. Because you need 75 meters between you and the edge of the map for enemies to spawn. So when I head to extract, I know that I want to be as far away from extract as possible, but still within the heat map to increase spawns. So here I'm tagging this to kind of gauge distance. And we can see I'm about 60 meters away from extract there. So I should be good if I play far side of the map. So I start dropping new equipment and waiting, pretty much. And I do see in the distance, you can see the zombies clambering over the hill. Yeah. Now, I do immediately go to shoot them, to aggro them. And I spend the next 16 minutes just kill farming, to be honest with you. There's not really much to talk about in terms of gameplay because I literally just hold this one area and kill farm. So that's gonna be a little boring, but I'll try and make up for it on the commentary side, because what I'm going to talk about is how I think they should redo spawning specifically for mindless masses, because I think you can have a challenging difficulty that is majority voteless, and like you would just have to greatly ramp up the amount of voteless. And first of all, this felt fun. Like, if this was the only like thing in the game, was just doing constant voteless runs with hordes of this size coming at you, I probably would be less inclined to play it, because it's not super challenging, of course, but it's still very cool. And as a once in a while thing, it was very cool. I do think you guys should definitely like check it out and try it out. I don't know how difficult it would be in teams, because there is some slight changes to how patrols spawn in a team-based setting, but it should still give you quite a few voteless. Maybe not, I mean, it'd probably be a similar amount, which in a team would kind of be easier to deal with, which is unfortunate, but it's pretty cool. Honestly, I was genuinely surprised by how many, and I'm shooting the next like crowd of voteless to immediately aggro them, grabbing resupplies to reload the Maxigun, and then like I can see like on my mini-map just the hordes coming in. And that just felt very cool. I always appreciate a chance to get to use the Maxigun. Yeah. Like, this just felt cool. I can't see anything except like the rough impact of where my bullets are going. And I'm just mowing down hordes. A lot of fun. I did change out, stop using the Maxigun because I needed to actually like see what I was shooting, because that overseer was going to be a problem in a second. But anyways, how should I think they should rework spawns? Well, a lot of the times in video games, the way you do spawning, especially for horde shooters, is that you have, because you're always fighting an entity cap, and the way the entity cap works is you have a certain amount of enemies that can be on screen at a specific time. And the way Helldivers works is that basically the only time it's spawning enemies up to that cap is during like a bug breach or a bot call-in or a dropship call-in, something like that, where it's like flooding you with enemies very, very quickly, and then as you kill them, you make space for the next patrol to spawn in eventually. Or for like bug breaches, you can kill them fast enough to start making space for new enemies coming in through the thing. But that's the gist of how it works. How do I think it should work? For mindless masses specifically, there's a very specific way other games do it, other like horde shooters, to kind of circumvent the entity cap. And it's basically the moment an enemy dies, it spawns another one in their place at the maximum distance. And I think for mindless masses specifically, I think you'd fucking get rid of harvesters. You can keep flesh mobs, I guess, but like make them very, very sparse. Not often. Every once in a while, like as a treat. But get rid of harvesters. Get rid of the majority of overseers. Maybe the density of the overseers I had here, which was like 1 out of every 100 kills maybe was an overseer. Keep that. And then do probably the same thing for flesh mobs. Have them be rare, but still a thing. And then have it basically be a continuous bug breach just outside of your safe distance. Ditch the whole heat map concept just for mindless masses, and literally just have it be a constant, non-stop stream of voteless. And then the moment you kill one voteless, you free up that entity cap, you spawn another one 75 meters away, already aggroed on the player. Ditch the whole patrols, ditch all that. I think it would first of all set apart the mindless masses sub-faction quite a bit, and it would be very interesting. And then the way I would balance the difficulty for this, instead of doing, because the way they currently do it is basically based off patrols and how long breaches last and how many or what types of enemies spawn. And so if you're already limiting basically everything to voteless, I think you would instead change the entity cap, raising or lowering it between difficulties so that you can have different amounts of boatless spawning. But basically, the current complaints about the engine limitations is you can't have, there's a certain hard limit entity cap that the game has, because they can't just remove the entity cap and then have constant streams of boatless spawning, because essentially what would happen is you would kind of crash people's computers long before then. Or crash like servers or something to a certain degree. I'm not too familiar with how the backend works, but essentially, too many enemies on screen causes an issue. The way a lot of games circumvent it is by having the moment you kill an enemy, it spawns another one just out of sight. So like you can have what feels like 1,000 enemies running around a corner, because the moment you kill the first one around the corner, another one spawns. And I think that is a very interesting way to do it. I wish I could. I know that games do this, but I cannot for the life of me name a example one off the top of my head. But anyways, yeah, that's how I think it should be handled instead. So you don't have any patrols. You don't have like I would love to make it impossible to stealth. Just make it literally, basically, entirely endless hordes of enemies, and I would be sold. I would play the fuck out of it. Now reworking the entire way that like a certain faction or a certain sub faction is spawning, just to like give people the power fantasy of playing like Helldivers 2 Zombies mode. It's a lot of work. I think it would be very, very cool though, and it would people would love mindless masses, because like you could bring so much different stuff, and it would like actually feel like mindless masses. But yeah, that's my suggestion for how it should work instead. How it works right now, obviously, is I'm literally just kind of like, these patrols are constantly spawning in the same place because where I'm standing isn't changing, and there's only one kind of edge of the map that they can spawn on. So it made it very easy to kill farm. It also made the gameplay kind of boring, I won't lie to you. I'm sorry about that. I probably should have looked for a mission with an extract in the center of the map so that I could stand directly on extract and then be swarmed from all sides, so it wasn't just me like kill farming and holding a very specific angle. I think that probably would have been a lot more intuitive. I don't know if I'll revisit this, because I think I'm kind of covering all the ground there is to cover with it right now, and then I don't really know. There's not much more to do, because I will say, I hate to spoil it. I did put it in the thumbnail, maybe the title, but this was the first time I've cracked 2,000 kills in Helldivers. I think my previous record off camera was like 1,800 something. I'd have to go look for like a screenshot or something. I don't even know if I took a screenshot, but it was something around 1,800. I don't remember what I was doing, but I remember that. And then my second previous record on camera was, I think, 1,771 kills. And that was the cremator build I did like 2 weeks ago, something like that, a week ago. I don't know. Time is not a real thing. Anyways. So this is like my highest kill count ever, and it's crazy that it came from a D2. Like that is wild to me. I also feel like I could set like my all-time kill record to never be beaten if I try this again with a much more min-max build that takes way less time in specific areas, and then just kill farming like this for even longer. Because I think this was averaging like what, like 70, 75, maybe 80 kills a minute. Near the end of this, I don't know, but yeah, I think I could almost certainly set a much higher kill record for myself. I don't know what the current kill record is for a solo run for Helldivers, and I would also feel kind of bad about doing it on D2 and not in like D10. But if this is what you gotta do to get more enemies to spawn, I guess that's how you do it. Yeah. But basically, the reason you're getting so many hordes on mindless masses is because you turn the difficulty down so low that it can't spawn high health enemies, but it basically spawns patrols with a health quota anyways. So since there's no high health enemies to spawn, it basically is just like, okay, well, we need to meet the health quota anyways. So instead of like 3 flesh mobs, we're just going to spawn 60 boatless, which is kind of an interesting way to do things, but still very cool. As I said, I would love it if they reworked it to just be like a constant stream of voteless, and then the moment you kill one, another one spawns. Like, that would be pretty sick. I would be a big fan of that. Yeah. I was a big fan of this. I was surprised at how much I enjoyed this, because this was like, it was not hard, obviously. But still, very cool. A lot of fun. Yeah. I still got 5 minutes of time to fill, and I've literally covered everything I would talk about with this pretty much. Do I think my other like best Illuminate build would still work for this? Absolutely. Stalwart still sweeps voteless really, really easily. It's probably like, it's my favorite support weapon to use against, or probably second favorite support weapon to use against voteless. The Maxigun is not like great, but it just feels cool, you know? And I will concede meta for a cool pick. That Flame Sentry was surprisingly good. I think Fire did obviously get better. Or the Flame Sentry got better when Fire got better. With the confusing effect, the slowing effect, and it exploding in a fireball is also very nice. Obviously, I mean, I think like if you're not trying to kill farm, bringing mines would do really, really well as well. Like incendiary mines or gas mines, literally either or, both of them would work really well. Yeah, the armor I wore was the light gunner armor. It's a superstore armor. It is, I think, the only light armor in the game with extra padding. That was kind of just personal preference. This has kind of just been the outfit I've been running, like, whenever I've been playing, whatever. Because I used to run, like, Truth Enforcer outfit all the time, but I felt like that one kind of gave bad vibes. So I've now switched to this, which feels more like soldier infantry kind of esque. I do quite like the sapper helmet. I think it looks pretty cool. But yeah, I got another 3-4 minutes. I'm gonna take a sip of water. Sorry, I've been talking for a while, and I really need it. Alright, sorry. That's a lot of dead air. I can see in my audio recording software, I just see like a line. And just know that like all of that is dead air. Anyways, happy April Fools to you guys. I mean, I hope this was interesting enough, even if it was something different. Careful of pranks. People will try and get you. If you want to get other people, I think one of the jokes that I see people do occasionally is the old, you know, your shoes untied and they look down and you end up with the April Fools. I don't know. I really don't think I'm gonna meet anyone today who like. I think that's more of a thing when like you're in like school, but once you're an adult, like nobody gives a fuck about April Fools anymore. But I still like that kind of stuff because I'm a fan of whimsy. But yeah, I was literally just kill farming for age. I mean, I do wish I took this probably a mission that had a extract in the middle of the map, because it just like you would have the horde spawning at any angle, so it wouldn't just be me holding the same exact angle for like for 16 minutes straight. It's probably gonna be 20 minutes straight, because like it's gonna be all of the time at the end of it afterwards as well. Now if you're wondering why I'm firing the gun like this, it's specifically because I intend to use one of these stills as the thumbnail. And I think it looks very cool, so that's why I'm doing that. Is it better or more efficient than the other way? No. Does it look cool? Sure. And you know, looking cool is like half the battle. Not really, but you know. Now I should shoot that. Yeah, once you hit any member of a patrol, the rest of the patrol should aggro. So basically every time I can, I'm trying to shoot the patrol off in the distance to pull them into the flame sentry and into my little death box that I've created over here. Dude, this is like, I don't know if anyone's ever made like a Minecraft farm before, where you just like, you know how the enemy spawn mechanics work, so you just literally build a death box and you just constantly bring enemies into that specific area to constantly re-kill them. This is what this really reminds me of right now. Except there you're like farming for loot. Here I'm just farming for the hell of it, pretty much. I do think things get a little more interesting once I don't have any more stratagems to call in. But then I think I just start using more incendiary grenades because I have like 4 entire resupplies that are untouched just sitting behind me. And I'm not talking about like 4 resupply boxes. I'm like talking about 16 resupply boxes. I just have it like, because I've been calling them in off cooldown. But yeah, mindless masses is fun. I never really felt they were like distinct enough from normal illuminate to really change anything from my normal build. So if you guys want, I can do like a D10 mindless masses best build, and it's just going to be pretty much the same thing as I normally use. I think the incendiary grenades get a lot better because of that, because there's just a lot of voteless. But I don't know. I'll try it out, see what we think. I'll also see how many kills I can get in a D10 mindless masses one. I think it's going to be lower than this just because there's going to be more things filling up the spawn camp, like harvesters, flesh mobs, overseers. So I just end up killing a lot of units that aren't like small and like easy to kill. So it's a lot of like wasted time to a certain extent. Wasted time from the perspective of kill farming and trying to get the highest amount of kills possible, but not wasted time from a gameplay perspective. As I said, I've already mentioned how I think they should redo this entire sub-faction. Really just change the way everything spawns to just basically give you an endless stream, which I think would be very cool. It would be a lot of fun, in my opinion, to just have literally constant stream of voteless coming in, and you would be able to get crazy kill streaks, and it would genuinely feel like a zombies mode. Yeah, my thumbnail's probably gonna come from there because that was pretty sick. But yeah, the Maxigun is not great, but man, does it feel cool to fire. Yeah, the Sickle is also very nice. I was a big fan of the Sickle for clearing voteless. It's just like the pretty much pinpoint accuracy was very, very nice. I do think the scythe would also be a pretty good pick. Maybe like laser cannon as well if you want to go like full energy. Like there's a whole bunch of different things you can do. Yeah. It just feels cool. It's like that's like the whole appeal. It's very awesome. The Maxigun is pretty sick. I'm definitely gonna use like one of these frames as the as the thumbnail, because it looks cool. It looks like you're in an action movie, just like Last Stand kind of type of deal. I know that like this is like the second to lowest difficulty, and I was not stressing this at all. Like I thought there was literally no way in hell I lost this, but it was still cool. Still felt cool all the same. I was really trying to squeeze out every bit of kills I could. Every bit. And I have no clue where these dudes came from. These guys, I have no clue where they spawned, but they came out of nowhere. I'm throwing all of my grenades, trying to squeeze out every bit of kills I can. That grenade hit the top of the thing. It just still didn't make it down there though, so that is a couple more kills on the way out. But yeah, I was very surprised that people were not pulling my leg, and that it actually was a lot of voteless. It was a fair amount. It genuinely felt like I like switched game modes from like normal Helldivers to like playing zombies, and it's pretty sick. I do recommend trying this out. I think it's I think it might get changed just because this is kind of a lot of voteless for a difficulty 2. I think it's weird to end a difficulty 2 mission with more kills than I've ever gotten before when I almost exclusively played difficulty 10. But very interesting. I talked about how I think I would rework mindless masses as sub-factions so that you can keep this same vibe, the vibe from this difficulty, all the way up, while still scaling to a point that could be difficult for the players to deal with. The build, I mean, really, you could just use whatever. It's difficulty 2, come on. But yeah. Also, the Sickle feels like it's larger for some reason. That feels like a very large gun. Like my arm is clipping through the gun. But whatever. Anyways, I got 2,045 kills, over 10,000 shots fired, 0 deaths, 15 stims used, 44 stratagems used. This is a fuck ton of kills. That is my kill record now. I gotta try and beat this on D10, so I don't feel bad about having my kill record on D2. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you guys in the next one. See ya.